Welcome to another lovely sunny day in Cornwall. It's not. Well, the weather forecast said no rain today. Welcome to the UK. I cannot even begin to describe what it is like to live in the UK at the moment. I mean, if you don't live here, I think the concept of just how much it rains here might actually kind of shock you. Last year, it rained 186 days here in Cornwall. 186. This year, and we're in, well, the end of October now, it's already rained that. And we've still got 2 months to go. According to the Met Office, we're expected around 215 days of rainfall this year. 215! I mean, if you take away all the days that you've got to work late, or it's too cold or too windy, I mean, how much time does that really leave you to get out and do anything outside? It's pretty wet. Like most bad runners, I'm out on it anyway. Here, let me clean you off a bit. I'll admit this year that even my enthusiasm has waned in the face of the British climate. When you are looking for an excuse to kind of not go out or put it off, the weather is it's a pretty good one. Certainly for me anyway. So honestly, how do people build up the enthusiasm to go out when it's, face it, like this? Well, the truth, simple. We're all mad. Absolutely barmy. Okay, so that was meant as a joke, but I'm sure my fellow runners will agree there's probably some truth in that. The absolute truth is, you kind of just have to accept it. It's not the answer you wanted, is it? But the truth is, you just got to accept you're going to get wet. The funny thing is, and I've heard this from countless other people as well, is that when you're actually out, it's not bad. Like, even, I mean, it can be properly wet, windy, snow, cold. To be fair, it's all right because you get on with it. The hard part is definitely the actual getting out. I'm going to make you laugh, but I have literally lost count of how many times I've basically sat in the doorway of my house and just stared outside. You know, head to toe running kit, everything ready to go, water bottle filled, and just staring outside. Just, I suppose, looking for an excuse not to go. I mean, does anybody else do that? But once you're actually out, I mean, you're out. I've said this before, but I'm a firm believer that the hardest mile is the one from that sofa to that front door. Do you know, I do believe it's actually on the turn. Sorry, Met Office. Maybe I just jumped the gun a bit. Now, I'm not going to lie, good gear does go a long way to help. I mean, I'm not saying expensive gear, I'm just sort of saying stuff fit for purpose. I mean, take proper running shoes as an example. Unlike your kind of conventional fashion trainers, they're not full of water-absorbent padding, so they don't get all squelchy and really heavy when you're trying to run or walk in the rain. And even a budget running top, sports fabrics, I mean, they're amazing. They wick moisture away, but they also dry really fast and they stay light when they're wet. Anyone who's running a cotton t-shirt will tell you it's pretty miserable. It gets all clingy and it's just not a nice experience. And I'm not suggesting you go and spend a fortune either. Really basic stuff works just fine. Yes, I mean, there are benefits to the more expensive stuff, but you don't need to spend a fortune. That said, last winter I did treat myself to a rather expensive running coat. And yes, it was really nice and well worth the extra. But you know what? The cheap Caramel one it replaced, was all right. It did the job just fine. Yeah, it got a bit sweaty when it was hotter, but actually it did the job fine. And it certainly meant that I could go out when maybe otherwise the conditions wouldn't have allowed it. Actually, if I had to pick a favourite piece of wet weather running gear, it's this one, the humble old peaked cap. This is like a mesh topped running one, but to be honest, any peaked cap will do the job. By far the worst part of running in the rain is when it's driving in your face, running down your forehead. I mean, to me, that's what makes it sort of really unpleasant. And if you can get over the fact that you're that guy out with a peaked cap in a rainy day, well, this simple piece of fabric solves all of that. Shame really, that's some kid's bike been thrown in there. One of my favourite kind of tricks for staying motivated is definitely just simply to rope in me mates. It's a lot harder, and I mean a lot harder, to sack it off if there's 2 or even 3 of you looking to go out. Best part of that, of course, is it works for not just you, but for them as well. I don't want you to feel disheartened though, if maybe your friends don't want to go out in the wet weather. The group of guys I ride with are pretty hardcore, and I'm going to tell you now, we've cancelled more than a handful of rides this year thanks to the wonderful British weather. I know I've said this before, but this is the reason that it's so important to find something you're passionate about, an activity that gets you enthusiastic, because it's the only way you'll ever overcome things like the bad weather. Of course, being mad probably helps too. Till next time.